I was a combat photographer. At the top of my game, I mean, I was military photographer of the year twice. When I was 17 when I joined the service, so I kind of grew up and that was my identity. Took a pretty bad knock in Iraq, which ended my career.
How could Stacy Pearsall know?
I found myself in a dark place because I was battling PTSD and physical pain from rehabilitation.
The end would actually be the beginning.
When I went to the VA, there weren't a lot of women going around in the halls, you know, and so I stuck out like a sore thumb, and people didn't look at me as a veteran, and so I felt like everything that I'd given voluntarily was just kind of like gone in an instant.
How could Stacy Pearsall ever know? In that same VA, her life would be redirected by the first-hand account of an aging veteran.
Mickey Dorsey was a World War II veteran. He survived D-Day. He liberated a concentration camp. He was a POW, an amazing American hero. And for whatever reason, our paths crossed that day. It was really meant to be. Because in that moment,
a moment in time framed by a single subject, Stacy Pearsall finally knew.
So they said I wasn't going to be able to do photographs anymore, and I decided I was going to take Mickey's portrait, and I've been doing the Veterans Portrait Project ever since. That's 10 years ago now.
And Mickey was your first?
Mickey was my first. He was one of my first. He was the inspiration. Bobby's Humvee got hit by an IED, and he was the only survivor. He's burned over 40% of his body.
The faces of men and women who have bravely served make up Stacy's Veteran Portrait Project, each with a story to tell.
His job was to identify body parts and match the body parts with the individual. It's a very gruesome job. I can imagine why he's emotional about it. And so we are just in our own world. There's nothing else going on, and both of our concentration was kind of broken by this sobbing over my shoulder. His wife was crying. After our portrait session, she came up and she hugged me and she said, "That's the first time my husband's ever talked about what he did in Vietnam." I felt pretty honored to be the one where he actually shared that with and felt safe enough and had the confidence in me to share that. I'm pretty proud that I can share his military history with others so they know what he did. That was a tough job, to carry that burden with you for 50 years. No, there was some good ones.
Her new focus, veteran portraits in every state. She's up to 28.
Chin toward me a little bit.
Stacy's latest veteran, her husband, Andy Dunaway, a fellow combat photographer.
A lot of the guys and girls never came back.
The life that I had planned for myself wasn't nearly as fulfilling as the life that is panning out now. And I'm thankful for that. Charlie, bring. Here. Good boy.
That life now includes her service dog, Charlie.
Thank you for the help so much. Thank you for the help. Charlie, bring. Because PTSD tends to rear its ugly head, Charlie, brace, at really inconvenient times. He's there to kind of talk me off the ledge a lot quicker than I would by myself. And he has been a wonderful battle buddy. Here. Give. Good boy.
Much like her friends on the front line.
This was my battle buddy, Katie, on our last deployment. She was shot 6 weeks into our deployment. That's her right here. To her immediate right is Alan. He was killed day before she was shot. Leroy was killed same day as Alan. Oh my gosh. This is amazing because he was the most lethal sniper in Iraq when I was there. And he's now a preacher in central New York.
3 combat tours, hundreds of thousands of pictures. It's led Stacy Pearsall to a single-purpose life.
It was incredibly short-sighted of me to think that I had to wear a uniform to serve others. So I definitely feel like I still do today. I knew I had to go through a lot to get to where I am, and without suffering the things that I had, I wouldn't have a better understanding or relatability to the veterans that I meet. so that was necessary. And I have no regrets about that either. Some things just aren't meant to make sense, I guess. Nor will they ever make sense. And I could ask that question every day. Or I could live to honor their memory and be the best person I could because I was spared. And live and honor their memory, and that's what I try to do.